The air stretched tight, quiet and cold over the vast land. Tall spruce branches hung heavily, laden with snow, awaiting distant spring winds. The frosted willows seemed to tremble in the freezing temperatures. Far off in this seemingly dismal land were bands of people dressed in furs and animal skins, huddled close to small campfires. Their weather-burnt faces were stricken with looks of hopelessness as they faced starvation, and the future held little promise of better days. These nomads were the people of the Arctic region of Alaska, always on the move in search of food. Where the caribou and other migrating animals roamed, the people followed. But the deep cold of winter presented special problems. The moose, their favorite source of food, took refuge from the penetrating cold by staying in one place and were difficult to find. Smaller, more accessible animals such as rabbits and tree squirrels could not sustain a large band such as this one. And during the cold spells, even the smaller animals either disappeared in hiding or were thinned by predators, man and animal alike. So during this unusually bitter chill in the late fall, the land seemed void of life as the cold hovered menacingly. During the cold, hunting required more energy than at other times. Thus, the hunters were fed first, as it was their skills on which the people depended. Yet, with so many to feed, what food they had was depleted quickly. Despite their best efforts, many of the women and children suffered from malnutrition, and some would die of starvation. In this particular band were two old women cared for by the people for many years. The older woman's name was Chidzigyak, for she reminded her parents of a chickadee bird when she was born. The other woman's name was Sa, meaning star, because at the time of her birth, her mother had been looking at the fall night sky, concentrating on the distant stars to take her mind away from the painful labor contractions. The chief would instruct the younger men to set up shelters for these two old women each time the band arrived at a new campsite, and to provide them with wood and water. The younger women pulled the two elder women's possessions from one camp to the next, and, in turn, the old women tanned animal skins for those who helped them. The arrangement worked well. However, the two old women shared a character flaw, unusual for people of those times. Constantly they complained of aches and pains, and they carried walking sticks to attest to their handicaps. Surprisingly, the others seemed not to mind, despite having been taught from the days of their childhood that weakness was not tolerated among the inhabitants of this harsh motherland. Yet no one reprimanded the two women, and they continued to travel with the stronger ones, until one fateful day. On that day, something more than the cold hung in the air, as the people gathered around their few flickering fires and listened to the chief. He was a man who stood almost a head taller than the other men. From within the folds of his parka ruff, he spoke about the cold, hard days they were to expect, and of what each would have to contribute if they were to survive the winter. Then, in a loud, clear voice, he made a sudden announcement. "The council and I have arrived at a decision." The chief paused as if to find the strength to voice his next words. "We are going to have to leave the old ones behind." His eyes quickly scanned the crowd for reactions, but the hunger and cold had taken their toll, and the people did not seem to be shocked. Many expected this to happen, and some thought it for the best. In those days, leaving the old behind in times of starvation was not an unknown act, although in this band it was happening for the first time. The starkness of the primitive land seemed to demand it, as the people, to survive, were forced to imitate some of the ways of the animals. Like the younger, more able wolves who shunned the old leader of the pack, these people would leave the old behind so that they could move faster without the extra burden. The older woman, Chidzigyak, had a daughter and a grandson among